Thank you, Mr. President. You know, if there's one thing I've been hearing from my constituents lately is this. We've got to get people back to work so our economy can thrive and our people can make a living. This isn't a new sentiment. I've heard this for months and I've traveled around the state. But what is the fact that we can't find people to work. And that's what I'm here to talk about today. Before the pandemic hit, we had the best economy in decades. The unemployment rate in January 2020 was 3.6%. Wages were up, blue-collar wages were rising, and white-collar wages for the first time were at a record pace. Unemployment for African American, Hispanic Americans, and Asian Americans were at the lowest rate recorded. All thanks to President Trump's pro-growth policies and Republicans' tax reform law. There is no debating that the coronavirus pandemic hit our economy very, very hard. My companies and businesses in Alabama, including family-owned small businesses, have spent the past year hanging on by a thread as the pandemic held us tight in a tightly grip around the country. Some stayed open with a skeleton crew, making the difficult decision to lay off workers in order just to keep operating. And some were forced to shut down entirely. Either way, Americans, workers, lost out. Few industries were spared, and the unemployment numbers shot sky high. But a year later, as vaccines became widely available, we better understood what we need to do to keep Americans safe. Many job creators thought, okay, this was the tight grip that was loosening up, and here's the light at the end of the tunnel. As more and more people are feeling safe to go places they used to go and do things, businesses are eager to open and respond, but today, even as vaccinations go up and cases go down, the Biden administration is incentivizing people to sit on the sidelines instead of encouraging them to join the workforce. It's the opposite of what the federal government should be doing. Do the right thing now. And it's the opposite of what job creators want to do for millions of American workers. There are roughly 8.1 million job openings around our country as we speak. But the Democrats would rather discourage folks from seizing opportunity to go out and earn a living. That's exactly what the current unemployment payments do. As part of their partisan stimulus bill, the Democrats extended the $300 a week federal unemployment benefit, a monthly payment in addition to the state benefit that folks already get. In Alabama, people could choose to receive, with no strings attached, up to $678 per week. That comes out to $16.95 an hour, even more than our Democrat colleagues' job-killing $15 minimum wage proposal just a few weeks ago. The result has been disastrous for small businesses across my state and throughout the country who are already ready to hire to meet the boom in demand for product and services. On the national level, here's what the National Federation of Independent Business reported, quote, unfilled job openings continue to mount as April is the third consecutive month setting a record high reading of unfilled job openings. Record job openings. The April jobs numbers released last week weren't much better. The unemployment rate went up by 0.1%. Economists thought we would add 1 million jobs, but we only added a quarter of that amount. Small business owners all across Alabama have been able to reopen, and customers are coming back. Now they need people to fill the jobs to keep the doors open. Across America, businesses are no longer competing against other businesses. Now they have to compete against the government. Government versus the private sector. and the government is stacking the deck on all our small businesses and manufacturers. Businesses in Alabama are no exception to anybody else across the country. Case in point, Al Kaysen is the president of Bud's Best Cookies in Hoover, Alabama. His father, Bud, owns the company, has been in the industry for 65 years. Normally, they get 4 production lines with 2 shifts, but because so many of their would-be workers are staying home, they can only run 2 lines, and they are cutting their production in half. We can't get enough to come to work, Al wrote me. The government is taking away workers from our business, and it's been in business for 65 years. Wesley Everett from Enterprise Health and Rehabilitation Center in Enterprise, Alabama, wrote that his long-term care facility is, quote, unable to find help they need due to the severe negative impacts and stimulus and unemployment payments are having on the Alabama workforce. And then there's Sandra Walker from Lake Haven Assisted Living in Laverne, Alabama, who said, quote, our salaries are competitive, but we can't compete with stay-at-home, no-strings-attached handouts. Business is back open, but we can't survive without our workers returning to work. These are both health companies, mind you, that they're the ones helping some of our most vulnerable citizens. And here's what Anita Hilliard in Cortland, Alabama told me. The company she works for employs people in convenience stores throughout Northeast Alabama. She wrote, quote, we have to shut down some of our shifts just because we can't get enough people to work, and sometimes we have to shut down completely. But here's what really stuck with me in her letter. I'm working and paying taxes to pay others more than I make myself. That's sad. This must end, or we will lose the America that we have grown to know and love. I couldn't agree with Anita anymore. America is built by hard workers, people like Anita, people like Wes, Sandra, and millions more across the United States. But we'll never jumpstart our economy if we keep going with this bad policy, incentivizing people to stay at home and sit and not work rather than take employment opportunities when they're offered to them. Our businesses need workers to meet customer demands. This is truly a great thing after such a hard year. Our job creators have started to hope and see opportunity gain. They've hung the now hiring signs on the door. They posted the job openings. But we need to encourage folks to rejoin the workforce, to get back to work. Job creators are creating the opportunity. We just need folks to reach out and take it. It should be easy for us to offer encouragement to folks to fill open positions. All we've got to do is kick the ball through the uprights this time around. But Democrats in D.C. want it to go alone. They wanted to go alone a few weeks ago, and with the recent stimulus bill that we passed, and this is what ended up with a workforce shortage due to the inflated in an economy of the cusp of recovery that needs available workers. Getting these folks back to work isn't just about the now, it's about helping them to see the future again. It's been more than a year for many who have been out of work. Taking the leap to get back in sometimes is scary, but we've got to help the people take that leap. If we wait, these businesses and jobs they are now offering right now may not be there in September. Companies and small businesses are going out of work and going out of business. That's why I joined my colleagues, Senator Crapo and Senator Harris, to sponsor the Back to Work Bonus Act. This bill will give back-to-work bonuses to workers who are able to safely return to work. This would be a one-time payment of $1,200 for those returning to full-time jobs, $600 to those returning to part-time jobs. Employers would verify the earnings and hours of those receiving the back-to-work hours or bonus. That sounds much more like an actual stimulus to me. The Back to Work Bonus Act is a win-win-win. Good for workers, good for employees, and great for our society. I'm sure each of my colleagues have received similar pleas from small business owners across their state. The Biden-backed unemployment benefits are crushing their hopes getting back to a pre-pandemic high. We're even seeing some states take matters into their own hands. Earlier this week, I was glad to see Alabama be one of the first states to announce plans to stop accepting enhanced federal unemployment benefits. As of today, at least 16 states have announced they won't accept the benefit to help employers and encourage folks to get back to work. This is a common sense move to encourage folks to take the many job opportunities available. Well, I for one think we should listen to the folks on Main Street. We can help them, and we can help millions of the unemployed. One way to do it, that is by passing the Back to Work Bonus Act. I urge my colleagues to support this practical bill and get our country back to work. We need to remember, opportunity through work is the foundation of our country. I yield the floor.